Okay, good afternoon. This is Brian with NetPicks and Premier Trader University. Thanks for taking the time to be with us today. And we're really excited to bring you today's presentation. It's called Look Over My Shoulder Trading Options with PTU. Mike Rixey, our options specialist, is going to be on the presentation today. He'll be taking you through the bulk of the presentation. But to begin with, I've got a few things that I'd like to cover, and then we'll get into today's presentation. First of all, we want you to leave here today with every question answered that you might have. So feel free to step up to the text box, so to speak, and get those questions in. Myself and Will, one of the coaches, will be answering questions in real time here as we go through the presentation, and then at the end we'll open up for just a general type of a Q&A for any questions that are left over. All right, let me first cover the agenda for today. So in a moment I'm going to give you a little bit of detail about NetPicks and who we are, and then we're going to show you today, this is called Look Over the Shoulder. So we're really going to go to the charts. Mike's going to show you the current trading environment, and really this is kind of the prime time, right? There's a lot of concern right now in the market that it might be topped out, and are we going to head to the downside, or are we going to head higher? The bottom line here is, as long as you have a trade method and approach, it really doesn't matter to us. And Mike's going to tell you here in a little bit, he actually likes it when the market heads to the downside. Those trades go quicker to their target objectives, and they're much faster than when we're in that trending to the upside kind of a market. So this is really prime time to be trading options, and he's going to show you some great examples here in just a moment. We're going to show you how you can copy the results that we're getting. Specifically, we're going to give you the option to get involved in our program, so to speak, and we're going to show you, obviously, today some of the trades that we're taking live in the market. And I want to encourage you to stick around. If you decide to sign up today, we're going to give 3 lucky attendees a special bonus, and more details will be coming shortly. A little bit about NetPicks. We've been around since 1996, and quite a long time. We've had literally the opportunity to work with thousands of traders with our trade methodologies. One of the things that makes us unique here at NetPicks is each one of us on this chart here that you see are traders first. We're active traders in the market, and we can definitely relate to you individually in that capacity. And I think that makes us very unique, and I think it's important that you have that kind of background. Again, this is Brian Short. If you're just joining us, I am in the top right here, and Mark Soberman, the founder, is on the left-hand side here, and here's Mike. He's going to be taking you through the balance of the presentation here in just a moment. And then the rest of our team. Will's on the call today. He's answering your questions, so that's Will right there. And so there's a little bit about NetPicks. I want to give you a little bit of a bio on Mike and how he came to trading options. His first exposure to options trading was while he was in college. And like many of us, he had some very good initial success. He was pretty excited about it. And those that have been trading options for a while probably can relate to this. He would trade earnings releases. And the concept was, we know that right before earnings releases, there can be surprises to the downside and the upside. And so there's ways you can trade those and benefit from that. And that early success that he experienced was, kind of negated by the fact that he gave it all back, ended up giving it back. So Mike really took the next 2 years to learn everything and anything about options. He wanted to dive in and learn all the ins and outs and how he could better use options as a tool and a trader to profit from the market. And that's exactly what he did. And it was shortly after that he became a NetPicks diehard customer. I remember that. We actually invited him to speak at one of our live events in Las Vegas, and he did an awesome job, and we could tell that he was very knowledgeable on this subject. And ever since, he has been our guru, our options guru here at NetPicks, and our go-to guy with anything options. Now, Mike will tell you that he's also an active day trader. He trades futures, like I mentioned I do. But if you ask him his favorite way to trade, he would tell you, hands down, it's options trading. That's where he makes the bulk of his trading revenue and has the bulk of his success. So with that, I am going to turn it over to Mike, and he's going to take us through the balance of the presentation. So Mike, it's all yours.
All right, great. Thank you, Brian. Thank you for that intro. So I too want to welcome everybody in here today for another discussion on how we like to trade options here at NetPicks. Very productive week, very profitable week in the markets here today, and we'll walk through some trades that were just closed out here recently. Pretty interesting when you get to a holiday shortened week, the markets are closed tomorrow. You really never know what to expect. But like Brian mentioned earlier, it's a great time to be involved in the markets. Seeing some nice movement back and forth. And that's a huge deal because we've been stuck in a slow grind higher for so long. To finally see some two-way price action again, it's really exciting. It couldn't get any better for what we like to do with our swing positions. So I'll walk you through the charts here in just a moment. We'll get on over and take a look at how we approach the markets and some of our favorite markets that we look at day in and day out. Before I get over there, I want to just quickly discuss the whole idea of swing trading with options. And the way that I approach the markets, everything has to fit around this framework. Okay, so when it comes to the systems that I use, when it comes to the specific markets that I look at, everything really fits around what I'm looking to accomplish as a trader. For me, the time aspect, it's huge. Okay, I don't have all day to sit in front of the screen all day long looking at the markets. I love the markets. I love everything about the finance world, but for me, I don't have the ability to look at the charts 6 hours a day, 8 hours a day. It's not realistic for me. And to look at the poll questions, we've got 65% of you that are looking at the markets 2 to 4 hours a day, some of you even longer than that. Okay, and that's fine, but what I want to introduce to you today is a way that you can be involved in the markets for a fraction of the time. For me, the amount of time that I'm looking to get in and out and manage my trades in each day is 20 minutes. Okay, 20 minutes a day or less. That's really what I want to do with my options trading. Do I do some day trading as well? When my schedule allows, I do. Okay, that's not all the time, and just all depends on how my schedule is shaping up. When I look to get in 20 minutes a day or less, I want to get in. I want to stay active. I want to take the trades and manage the trades, but I also want to have the ability to move on with my day. It's been a very, very busy week for me this week with meetings and working with my students. I just haven't had a ton of time to look at the markets, to look at my charts all day long. Doesn't matter. I'm still able to stay very engaged. I've been very active this week. I've placed and managed and closed many trades here over the past week or so. Now you may look at that number, and the number for you might be 45 minutes. It could be an hour and a half. It does not matter to me. What I want to introduce to you is the ability to have that flexibility. Okay, I want to give you the opportunity to get in and out very quickly so that you can move on with your day. You can have that option. And I'll show you some of the tools that I use in order to accomplish that here in just a second. The leverage, very, very important for any retail trader, whether you're trading a $5,000 account or a $500,000 account, it does not matter. We have access to limited funds, and we need to make sure that we're trading products that will make the best use of our capital. Okay, now I fully realize the futures and Forex markets, they offer great leverage as well. But when I look at the options markets, I just love the fact that I'm not limited in the products that I look at. Okay, I can trade names like Google and Priceline and Netflix for as little as a couple $100, and that's really powerful. As you'll see here in a bit, we're able to book some really impressive returns without tying up a ton of capital. Okay, and I really like that aspect. The consistency, this is huge. We're going to talk today about creating a watch list and trading the same names consistently day in and day out, week in and week out, so that you're not forced to be stuck scanning hundreds of names on a nightly basis. I was talking with a trader here earlier in the week that was extremely frustrated because they were trying to identify those new hot names on a daily basis, trying to find out which names got upgraded or downgraded. And what was really frustrating is just there was no consistency there. Okay, it was basically just pulling up a name off of a scan, hoping for the best, and that really that's not a good way to trade. What I'd rather have you do is focus in on the same names consistently. That way you can be very comfortable with those names, that you also can use a system that you know the odds are in your favor. Okay, really, really important. Not to mention, when we're trading the same names day in and day out, that also helps us get in and out in 20 minutes a day or less, because I'm not stuck there spending an hour a day scanning names trying to find the best candidates to look at. And finally, the flexibility. We touched on this here earlier. When the markets move to the downside, everything just tends to happen quicker. Okay, people panic on the downside. That's perfect for an options trader. And so I want to make sure I'm trading products that allow me to make money if the market goes up, down, or even sideways. Okay, the options market, that's the only market that will allow you to make money if the market gets into a sideways, choppy stretch. There's strategies that actually thrive from that. So as a full-time trader that needs to make a consistent income, I have to make sure that I'm trading products and I have strategies that will allow me to make money regardless of what the market's going to do. Now, that doesn't mean I'm profitable every day, every week, or even every month, but it does mean that I'm not forced to wait for the next bull market. I'm not forced to wait for the market to move to the upside to make money. I see so many traders out there that are so dependent on the market moving up, it's almost scary. Because when the market does start to roll over, it's not a great position to be in when you're just backed into a corner, not knowing what to do when the market moves against you. So I want to make sure that I'm trading products that will allow me to be flexible. Now, I know we've got about half of you here today that are already trading options, which is great. That I'd love to see that so many people are interested. But that means we've got half of you that aren't currently taking advantage of these products. So what I want to do over the next few minutes is walk you through some ways that you can pretty quickly and easily get involved in these markets and experience some really nice profits. So let's go ahead and start to transition on over to the charts here. And we'll walk through some of the ways that we like to trade options at NetPicks. Because some of the approaches that we take, they're pretty different than what a lot of other people out there are currently doing. We take some different approaches. So the first thing that I want to focus on, I've got 6 charts here listed. What I decided to do for today is I decided to go in and take a look at the most popular products with most of my students. Okay, I work with many students on a weekly basis, and there's certain names on our watch list as a group that just are currently come up. I mean, they come up all the time. I have many people looking at these products. So I want to trade the most popular names, and these tend to be the most popular with my students. I trade every one of these names on my personal watch list as well. So I don't want you to think that I'm just going in and pulling out the best, most profitable names right now. These are names that I have traded consistently for the last couple of years, and I've got many students that are also trading these as well. Now, what we do with our systems, let's go ahead and start out with USO. Okay, this is an ETF that tracks the price of oil. Okay, so it's a very liquid product. It's very active. What you'll notice here, this chart probably looks a lot different than what many of you are looking at. When I work with newer traders, it's pretty common for me to log in and see them looking at a daily chart, an hourly chart, even a 15-minute chart at times. Those are all time-based charts. What we do is something radically different from that. Okay, we take the time aspect and we take it out of the equation, and we focus strictly on price. So if we look at USO here, every one of these bars represents 29 cents of price action. This is what's known as a range chart. So instead of looking at a chart that's plotting bars or candles based on a set amount of time, now this chart is plotting bars based on a set amount of price action. So if I were to open up my data window here, any one of these bars that I click on is going to represent 29 cents of price action from high to low. Does not matter which one I click on. Okay, you'll notice that the difference here in the data window is always going to be 29 cents. That could take 2 minutes, that could take 2 days. It all depends on how active the markets are. So what that does, it acts as somewhat of a built-in chop filter. Oftentimes people feel the need to look at 10 different indicators and multiple time frames for confirmation to make sure they're getting into a move that is going to move in their direction. That's not going to just get stuck in a sideways chop. Well, instead of looking at multiple time frames and 10 different indicators, what we do is say, okay, let's look at a range chart. When the price of the stock or ETF starts to move, that chart is going to react accordingly. So when a product like USO gets very active, you're going to see many bars print here. And those bars could print pretty quickly. As USO slows down, as it consolidates and gets choppy, this chart is not forced to print bars based on a set amount of time. So now all of a sudden, I'm able to simplify things. I'm not forced to look at multiple time frames. I'm not forced to look at so many different indicators. It's just not necessary. The second power factor, which makes this system different than many others out there, is the use of our trade calculator. Okay, going back to the PowerPoint presentation, I told you that I want to get in and out in 20 minutes a day or less. Okay, it's very important to me. Now, how am I able to do so? Well, it's this trade calculator that does 99% of the hard lifting for me. Because what it does, all of our criteria that we look for in a setup, everything is programmed right into that trade calculator. So when all of our criteria is met, the calculator in real time will print an entry point, which is represented by these plus signs here. We've got targets, which are the green dots up above, and we've got the stops, which are the red dots down below. So now all of a sudden, when I come in and take a quick peek at my chart, am I stuck calculating entry points and targets and stops? Am I guessing where to get in and where to get out? No, this is a very, very clear-cut picture. I can get in, see if there's a setup or not. If there is, I act accordingly. If there's not, I move on with my day. There's no spending 10 minutes looking at this chart deciding if I want to get in or out. If I were to turn this calculator off, okay, this probably, and let me turn our strategy off as well. If I were to just look at this chart just like this, okay, in real time, am I able to identify entry points and exit points? Well, I can guess and hope for the best, but when I turn that calculator on, when I can see that roadmap printed for me, my confidence level just goes up tremendously, because now I know the system is identifying the entry points for me. I know the odds are in my favor. I know the performance is there. I know I have a good winning percentage. I know my winners are larger than my losers. That's the type of scenario that we need to be successful. Okay, we all want to be profitable traders, and we've got about, if I remember correctly, it was right around 40% of you are profitable. That means we've got a majority in here today that are not profitable. Well, by using a trade calculator like this, when your confidence level goes up and you can take the trades without guessing and without fingers crossed, hoping for the best, you're going to increase your odds of becoming a successful trader. Okay, and this is a big piece of the puzzle that's missing for many traders out there. Okay, the cool part about this as well, if we take a look at this most recent long trade, what happens when we start to hit target levels? Notice the stop starts to move up as well. Okay, the calculator knows how to manage the trade. So there's no guessing, okay, I'm starting to go into profit. Should I get out? Should I lock in my profit? No, there's none of that guesswork. All we do is we follow the roadmap that's being printed for us. So in this case, on this long trade on USO, I bought the April 36 call option for 87 cents. What that did, it gave me control of 100 shares of USO on the upside, and I paid $87 per contract. Okay, so 87 bucks. Okay, that's that great leverage that we talked about. I'm not tying up a ton of my capital. I'm able to come in and with a small account size, keep my risk small, protect that capital. All right, so this trade actually worked out in our favor. You can see we clearly went up and hit full target. I sold out of the position for $1.48. Okay, I booked a $61 profit. Doesn't seem like a ton of money, $61, right? But remember, we only put up $87 to begin with. I mean, that's a 70% return. 70% return on your money, and you're in and out in just a few days. Okay, if I were to turn my strategy back on, which identifies which trades were taken, this trade happened to be a winner, but look at how many winners we have going back into February. I mean, this is just the current chart that's showing. I mean, we've got winner after winner. Now, is every trade a full target? No, we have a partial winner here. You'll notice that on this trade right here in the middle, did we hit full target? No, we didn't. The trade did not play out as expected, but we were still able to book a partial profit. Okay, that's the powerful part about the system. We don't need home run trades to be successful. What you'll see here in a bit is we've got partial profits. Okay, that's just part of trading. But over time, we know the win rate is acceptable. Okay, it's really, really great. We know our winners are larger than our losers. That's the formula for success that everybody needs in trading. So USO, a great product. Let's take a look at another one. Let's take a look at CME. Okay, a pretty popular name with many of my students. It's pretty active. It tends to swing back and forth really, really well. Now I do need to go back here into to early April to see the last trade that was taken and which actually hit full target. This is the last trade that closed out. So in this case, we identified the move to the downside. The calculator did everything for us in real time. Okay, there's no going back and saying, well, we would have gotten in here, we would have gotten out there. Everything's identified in real time for us. So the short entry point was right here at 71.58. Instead of shorting CME, which can tie up a ton of capital, what we did is we bought the April 72.5 put for $1.65. So for $165 per contract, I have control of 100 shares of CME on the downside. Okay, here we go. Now I don't need the market to move to the upside. If it moves lower, if we roll over to the downside, that's perfect. I can use the put options to control the downside. Those put options will increase in value as long as the stock moves to the downside. So again, here we saw a pretty quick move lower. We hit full target. I closed out of that trade for $3.22. That gave me a $157 profit or a 95% return. Okay, really, really great trade. And now you can take a look at the chart here in real time. Okay, heading into this afternoon, we have a long setup that has printed. Okay, it's printing in real time. Price action has not gotten up to our entry point yet, so there's nothing for us to do just yet. Now, if we rally this afternoon or into next week, if we hit 70.18, we'll enter this trade on CME. It's really as easy as that. Now, if we do get into that trade, the targets are already identified for us. The stops already identified for us. Okay, that's how I'm able to get in and out so quickly every day. Okay, let's take a look at another one. Let's take a look here. Let's take a look at Apple. And this setup, this chart's going to look a little different. This is a second type of setup that we take. The previous charts that I showed you, that's our basic setup. This is the reversal setup. For some of you in here today, you may have joined us for one of our previous webinars where we actually gave you free access to our reversal setup. And this is one of the charts that you have free access to. So I wanted to show this today here just to give you an update on what we've been doing here on the reversal trade. So we've got different criteria that we look for. Again, this is just a different type of trade that we take. Now everything was identified for us on the downside. All of our criteria was being met. Apple was ready to roll over to the downside. We were looking for a reversal trade from an overbought condition. Okay, the calculator identified the entry point for me. I had my targets in place. I had my stop in place. Now on this setup, it worked out great. Okay, but we didn't quite hit our full target. The full target was down at 511.21, I believe, if I remember correctly. Yeah, 511.21. We got down to a low of 511.33. So we didn't hit full target, but we got 20 cents away from my full target. So when we get that close to a full target, we're not going to let this one pull all the way back on us and go to break even. So what I did is I really ramped my stop down. I gave it a little bit of room to maneuver because in real time I don't know that it's going to bounce as strong as it has. In real time I gave it a little bit of room to pull back, which it did, and it took me out. So I never hit the full target, but look at here. Look at this type of trade that I put on. Okay, now I know Apple is pretty pricey. I mean, it's a $500 stock. For many of you with a smaller account size, probably not one of the names on your radar just due to lack of capital. So what I did here is I played the put options, but I took it a step further. Instead of just going in and buying an individual put, I bought the April 535, 510 put spread. So what that means is I'm buying the 535 put. That gives me control of 100 shares on the downside of Apple. At the same time, I'm selling the 510 put to help offset the cost, some of the cost of the trade. So as a result, I'm still controlling 100 shares of Apple on the downside, and I'm paying $6.36 for that. So $636 per contract. Now, Apple is one of the products that does have mini options. The mini options give you control of 10 shares as opposed to 100. So really, it's a product that's, regardless of account size, everybody can be trading Apple. Now, this one, we just talked about. It didn't quite hit full target. We did get out with a partial profit, but look at this partial profit. We sold it out for $18.92. That's a 198% return, or over $1,200 of profit. Okay, those are those great moves to the downside that we really want to capitalize on. We don't want to be stuck just waiting for the market to move higher. Now we currently have a long setup printing. You can see that here. We have the plus signs printing for us. We have not hit the entry point. Okay, if we do get up to 526.48, we will look to initiate a long position. Now, with this being said, okay, if you are one of those people that downloaded the free reversal system, be careful on Apple next week. We do have earnings out next week. I personally don't like to trade through earnings. We can see large gaps overnight. That's not my style. So just be cautious here. This is one of those trades that I'm gonna track this one next week, but I'm gonna hold off. I'm going to hold off until the earnings are released, let them get out of the way, and let price action get back to normal. So it's always a lot easier to sit on the sidelines for a few days when you're just coming off of a 198% return. On the trade before that, how about 152% return? Okay, these are the types of moves that we identify throughout the year. Okay, so that is Apple on our reversal trade. Let's take a look at the Dow on the reversal trade. This is one of the additional names that you have free access to with our reversal setup here. Okay, in the previous webinar, we talked about some of these trades that were hitting partial profits. We were not hitting our full targets here, but we were still booking 42% returns. How about this most recent short that closed out? Here again, we did not hit full target, but we were still able to book a 67% return on the put options that we bought. Okay, let's break this down here a little bit. The entry point was identified for us. The calculator did that. We triggered short, and I went ahead and I bought the April 165 put for $1.94. So for $194 per contract, I'm controlling 100 shares of the Dow ETF on the downside. Okay, now again, the targets were identified for us. The full target initially was down here, right? The full stop was up here at the red dots. Okay, did we hit the full target? No, we did not. But we got down far enough to where the calculator initiated a trailing stop. So as soon as we started to move down into profit, look what happened to the stop. We're trailing our signal line at that point, trailing that blue line. So now on the way down, we continue to lock in profit. And in this case, we did not get down to the full target. We booked another partial profit. Am I going to complain with a 67% return on a trade that did not do what I expected it to do? That's $129 of profit. That's money in the bank. I'm not going to complain with that at all. And the current trade that's in progress. Okay, we're in another long setup. Okay, the calculator gave us the entry point. You can see it clearly was hit. We pulled back initially, but our stop was in place. The stop was not hit. We all know what the market's done in the past 3-4 days. It's been a pretty impressive run to the upside, and we were able to hit some profit targets. So the stop was initially moved up to break even. As we continued to move to the upside, the stop moved up. We had a trailing stop in place at that point, locking in some profit. So now heading into the long weekend, okay, am I panicking? Am I coming in here saying, well, what should I do next? There's none of that. Okay, I know where my stop is at. Worst case scenario, if we roll over into the close here this afternoon, I'm out with a partial profit. It's a really good position to be in. And who knows, if we break out here again next week and continue the run back up to all-time highs, we're set up perfectly for that. Okay, if we do that, we'll be able to hit that full profit. So I just love the position that we're in here on the Dow ETF. Green Mountain Coffee Roasters. Okay, we're going to go back to the basic setup. Okay, we were just looking at the reversal trade. This is our basic setup. The chart of Green Mountain, we're looking at a range of 1.55. Now, these range charts that I've been showing you, they seem like such random numbers, right? How did I come up with $1.55 for a range setting? There's actually a calculation that we look at once a month that looks at the current market conditions and says, okay, if we've seen a lot of volatile price action, if we've seen a lot of range on Green Mountain, we're going to use a larger range setting. If things start to slow down and start to consolidate, we're going to look at a smaller range setting. So what it does, by looking at that once a month, it allows the system to self-adjust to the current market conditions. Things are going to be constantly changing. Okay, the market 2 months from now is probably going to be drastically different than what we're seeing now. And we want to make sure that we're trading a system that's able to adjust to those changing market conditions. We don't want to trade a system that works great in a bull market, but completely breaks down when the market moves to the downside. So we're looking at a range of 1.55 here on Green Mountain. That means for every bar here that's printed on the chart that represents $1.55 of price action from high to low. Okay. Now the short trade that I identified on the chart, this is the most recent short trade that was closed out. We had our entry point that was clearly identified for us well ahead of time, so we had plenty of time to react and get our order in. This trade did trigger in. We saw a pretty steady move lower. I mean, it wasn't the cleanest move. I mean, it wasn't a straight move overnight down to target, but still enough to hit full target. Okay, in this case, we bought the May 110 put for $5.60. So total cost here, $560 per contract, and we're controlling the downside on Green Mountain Coffee Roasters. We did hit full profit. We booked a $790 profit. That's a 141% return. Okay, again, these are not just random names that I pulled up off of a scan. These are names that my students are looking at day in and day out. These are probably some of the most popular names that my students are looking at on a very regular basis. Okay, in one of the earlier webinars, we talked about FAS, which is one of the financial ETFs. Okay, again, as I pull up these charts, notice that the calculator looks exactly the same across all the different markets that we look at. Okay, the criteria that we look for, what makes a setup, that criteria remains the same. If you want to trade the stocks and ETFs that we've identified, perfect. If you've got other names that you've traded that you really like, the system will work exactly the same. You're not limited to just a handful of products that we look at. You can look at any market out there. So on FAS, system identified the short trade. We got into some weekly put options this time. So up until this point, we've just been talking about the monthly options. Those expire once a month. In this case, because the market at this point was moving pretty quickly, FAS is a product that when we take trades on this specific market, things tend to happen very quickly. We don't tend to stay in these trades very long, typically just a couple of days and we're in and out. So as a result of that, we took advantage of the weekly options. Those expire once a week, as you can tell from the name. So as a result, we're able to get in for a cheaper price because we're not buying all the time that's involved with a monthly option. So in this case, we bought the weekly 88.5 put. We paid $360 per contract for that position. As you can see, we saw a very quick move down. No surprise. I mean, FAS is one of those names that'll do that. I mean, it's a very quick mover. Booked a $375 profit. That's a 104% return. Okay, and again, I mean, we're in and out. This trade, we were in on the 10th. We got in right around lunchtime. We were out the next day, pretty much at the open. I mean, we're in for half of an afternoon. I mean, that's a pretty impressive trade. And now on the current trade that's in progress, as you can see, the system identified the long trade. We triggered in. We actually hit the entry price. So I have a call position here on FAS. We've gone up. We've hit the first target. If price action heading into next week, if we roll back over to the downside, look what happened to my stop. My stop went to break even. The risk is off the table for me. Okay, so if we continue to break out, very much like the Dow, like we just talked about on the Dow, if we move back to the upside next week, we're set up perfectly to take advantage of that. If we roll back over to the downside, worst case, we get out at break even. No harm, no foul. Okay, that's a great setup heading into next week. Okay, so I just showed you 6 products. We've got individual equities, we've got some ETFs, we've got some low price names, we have a high flyer like Apple, Green Mountain, $100 products. So it gives you access to some of those more volatile names, some of those higher price names. And I just showed you on the last, on those 6 charts in the last series of trades that were just closed out, I'm showing you over $2,700 of profit. All of those trades were taken with 1 contract, the smallest position size you can put on. If you've got a larger account size, these are the most liquid products in the world. There's no reason why you can't go in and place a trade for 10 contracts, 20 contracts. Not a problem at all. I just wanted to show you with a very basic approach, trading 1 contract, you know, all these trades were closed out within the last week, 2 weeks. I'm showing you over $2,700 of profit. That's pretty powerful. Now, I mentioned earlier, I like to come in 3 times a day. I like to come in at the open, I like to come in at lunch, and I like to come in the afternoon. Okay, once in the afternoon, typically between 3 and 3:30 is when I come in the afternoon. I just want to make sure I get in before the market closes. So if I look at the clock right now, we're just in front of 1 o'clock New York time. Okay, so if I were to come in and this was my lunchtime update, if I were to pull up and take a look at the chart of Apple, I say, hey, I've got a long trade here in Apple. The entry point's at 526.48. Has not triggered in yet. What I could do is set a price alert for myself. Okay? Set that price alert so this afternoon, if I'm out of my office, okay, if I'm out and about, if I get that price alert triggered, I can go ahead and take the trade accordingly. I'm not stuck here all afternoon saying, well, I've got this entry point on Apple. I've got to stare at the chart and wait for it to trigger in. It's not necessary. We can set that price alert and move on with our day. Okay, that's pretty powerful for me. I love that flexibility. Taking a look at USO, I can come in and literally 10 seconds look at this chart and say, do I see a setup printing here? Does the calculator print an entry point, targets, and stop? No, I don't see any of that. There's no current setup on USO. I don't need to sit there and calculate, should I get in, should I get out? None of that. I'm just waiting for the next setup. So I can take a quick peek here and move on with my day. There's nothing for me to do on USO. CME, very similar to Apple. We have a long setup that has printed yet. There's nothing for us to do just yet. We have to wait for price action to get up towards that entry point. So I can mark that level, put an alert in place. So this afternoon, if we do rally into the close, if we hit that entry point, I will initiate a trade. I will go in and I will put on a call option. Okay, so I know my plan for this afternoon on CME. FAS, I know I'm currently in this long trade. We talked about it. The stop's at break even. I'm good to go for this afternoon. If I want to set some price alerts for myself, one at break even, one at the full target, I can do so. And in 10 seconds, I'm ready to go for this afternoon. I'm not stuck staring at these screens all day long. Okay, on the Dow, similar situation. I know where my stop's at. I come in for my lunchtime update. Hey, the stop's moved up. Let's get a price alert on it. I get the question all the time, Mike, can I use conditional orders if I'm not by my screen? You absolutely can. You can say, okay, the stop on the Dow, the stop is currently at 162.94. If I know I'm not going to be by my screen, if you're getting ready for the Easter weekend, you've got family coming in town, whatever it might be, let's say you're in this trade and you have other things to do this afternoon. Well, you can place a conditional order that says, okay, I'm in the call position. I bought some call options here to place this trade on the upside. The stop has moved up. Let's place a conditional order that says, okay, if my stop is hit, I want my broker to automatically execute the trade and sell out of my call options. That's what's known as a conditional order. We can set those with no problem. So now all of a sudden, you're very flexible. You're not stuck in the office at all. I mean, you can let the trade work, let it do its thing. You don't have to worry about it. And then finally on Green Mountain, is there anything for us to do here? Do you see a setup printing? No, it's very much like USO. There's nothing for us to do. So if these were the 6 names that were on your list, I mean, what did we take? 3-4 minutes to walk through these charts to set up our plan for this afternoon? Now I'm good to go. So when I get done with this presentation here, I can move on with my afternoon. I can answer emails, I can get on to other work. I'm not stuck just staring at every tick on the chart the rest of the day. That's pretty powerful. That's the type of trading that I'm looking to do. Okay, again, these are not the only 6 names that we trade. The nice part about the PTU system, you can use it on any product. What we do, we have trade plans developed for right around 30 names. And what we do is we work with you to select the names off of those the list of 30. Select those names that fit your trade account size, your risk tolerance, what you're looking to accomplish as a trader, so we can really fine-tune and identify those names that really fit you as a trader. That could mean 3 names, that could mean 10 names. It all depends on what you're looking to accomplish. So again, a lot of people will think that they have to look at 20 different names to be successful. I'm showing you 6 of our most popular names with our students, $2,700 of profit just on the most recent trades, taking very small position sizes. That just goes to show you can be active in these markets without having to spend 6-7 hours a day in front of the charts. I had one of those days yesterday where I was in front of my computer all day working with students, getting ready for today's presentations, trying to cram everything in because I know we have a shortened week here this week. Come the end of the day, I was in front of my screen all day long. I didn't feel that great. Okay, I just don't have any desire to be stuck doing that every day. Okay, I don't know how people do that. I want to get in and out. I love the markets. I want to be involved, but I also want to be able to move on and get to other things without just staring at the screen all day long. So I know I've talked about that a lot. I know I'm repeating myself, but I just want to really pound that point home. It's so important to me as a trader, and I think that's where a lot of other people stumble. They're spending way too much time over analyzing things. So the system, as you can see, it's pretty different than what a lot of other people do. I mean, the range charts, it's really a game changer. The calculator is just so powerful, it identifies those setups for you. But what we wanted to do is we wanted to take it a step further. We want to give you access to the system, the custom indicators, the custom calculator, but we also want to add in the options education. Okay, I walked through some monthly options, some weekly options, some individual calls and puts, some vertical spreads. But how did I know to use those specific strategies? How did I know which specific option to play? A lot of people struggle with that. So we also, with our options mastery program, we've also included our options education along with our strategy playbook. And we walk through the exact criteria that we look for. So when the PTU system gives us a setup on the chart, let's say it gives us a long setup, we're looking at CME and Apple, we've got long setups there. When those trades trigger in, we can go to our strategy playbook and say, okay, if we want to buy a call option, what criteria do we look for? And we'll give you step-by-step bullet points to follow to identify the exact option that you should select. Okay, so the mastery program is designed to take you from a beginner level to advance in 1 month's time. If you're brand new to options, if some of the stuff that I've talked about, I know I've had to talk fast here today, if some of it's confusing, if you don't know exactly what I'm talking about, perfect. We're going to strip everything down to the very basics. We're going to lay that foundation that you can build off of. If you've traded options for years, perfect. We're going to teach you the NetPicks method for trading options. Okay, so it does not matter where you're at. If you're new to options, that's great. Okay, so here's what the options mastery program looks like. The complete system, okay, the system that I just showed you, the basic setup, the reentry trade, the reversal setup, you'll have access to all the custom indicators, the custom built trade calculator. Those are yours for life. They work on any stock and ETF that you can imagine. You're not limited to the names that I personally trade. You can look at anything that you desire to. Okay, you'll also have access to our 2-day live training that's coming up next week. That 2-day training, it's 6 hours each day. We're going to teach you everything that you need to know on the system, what makes a setup, how do we take these setups, all of that will be covered in day 1. In day 2, we're going to really focus on the specific option strategies that we use. Okay, what criteria do we look for when placing a vertical spread or just when we buy a call or a put? Walk you through all that in great detail on day 2, so you'll have access to that as well. We also have a live training room every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We're live for typically 60 to 90 minutes each session, and that gives you the opportunity to get in and ask questions in real time. We'll walk through the charts every day. We'll walk through different options trades that we take. I'll be taking those trades along with you so you can see things live in real time. So it's not always a look back saying, hey, we did this and we did that. You can see things develop in real time. If you are brand new, not a problem. We have created an Options 101 course. You can have access to that here immediately. So if you've got time over the weekend, you want to get prepared for the 2-day course next week, you can log into the exclusive owner site and watch those videos. We walk through all of the basics that you'll need to know to be ready for the 2-day class coming up here next week. And I just mentioned the exclusive owners club will give you 30 days access to that site as well, which we'll talk about more here in just a minute. The 2-day training is coming up next Thursday and Friday, April 24 and 25. Okay, we'll be live 6 hours each day, so it's going to be a full 2 days. It will be held online, so there's no worrying about travel arrangements or anything like that. We will also be recording these sessions as well, so if you can't attend live or you can only attend a couple hours each day, not a problem. You can review the recordings as many times as you need to. Those will all be found on the exclusive owner site. So some of the different option strategies that we're going to cover in the 2-day training, we'll talk about just buying long calls and long puts, and we'll talk about different spreads. We talked about a vertical spread here today. There's some more advanced strategies that you can learn as well, so things like iron condors and butterflies and straddles and strangles. If you did nothing more than learn long calls and long puts and a vertical spread, you will be very successful. But I know we've got traders in here today that want to take their trading to the next level. They want to learn how to trade some of the more exotic strategies. And that's really what we're trying to give you. We're going to give you strategies that can be used in any type of market condition. And again, the strategy playbook, like I mentioned earlier, will give you all of the criteria, step by step. It'll give you that checklist that you can follow, so there's no questioning what type of trade you should take. Everything is very crystal clear for you. The weekly Q&A calls, this was very important for me to include, because back when I first started, I was extremely frustrated because I was reading so many books, gaining all this knowledge, but I really struggled when transferring that knowledge over to real market conditions. I didn't know how to put it into action. So it made sense what a call and a put option was, but I didn't know what call to buy or what put to buy. I couldn't transition from a textbook to the real market conditions. So what I really wanted was somebody there that could help me along the way, that could hold my hand and say, hey, Mike, maybe you shouldn't do that. Or, Mike, I would do this instead. I would have paid a ton of money for that early on. It would have saved me a tremendous amount of time and struggle. So I want to give you an opportunity to get into a live room and say, hey, Mike, I'm not understanding this concept. Can you walk through it in more detail? Or, Mike, should I be taking this trade or not? It'll give you a perfect opportunity to interact with me in real time. Again, I'm taking these trades along with you guys with my hard-earned money. Okay, I'm not just educating you on the system. I'm in the markets with you guys. So we'll be live 3 days a week. Right now we're live Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 12 noon Eastern. Those sessions are all recorded, available on the owner's site. So if you can't attend live, not a problem. You can always review those in the evening or the following morning whenever you have time. The one-on-one course will walk through all the key terms and definitions, the different ways you can use an option, what affects the price of an option, everything that you'll need to know to be ready for that 2-day training coming up next week. So again, you can have access to that course immediately, yet here today, so you can get started. Really great material for you to really jump in with both feet and be ready to go. As we mentioned earlier, the markets are perfect for what we try to do. So it's really a great time to get involved. The Owners Club, you're going to have access to our live training room 3 days a week. Like we mentioned, you'll have access to our, I've said 20 names here. We actually have over 30 names that we look at. Fully developed trade plans for those names. You can pick and choose which markets you want to look at, what makes up your watch list. Really powerful as you don't have to be stuck back testing for weeks on end. We've already done that hard lifting for you. The Trade Assist automation, I showed you that tool on the chart. Okay, it's this tool that identifies the setups for us. So if you see these diagonal lines here, that tool tracks our performance. And that's really powerful because it allows us to test and track our performance over time. So if we're taking a look at USO, let's take a look at a performance report. This is going back into October of 2013. Okay, we've won 12 out of the last 13 trades. This tool is not a robot. It does not trade for us, but what it allows us to do is to quickly go in and evaluate the performance of the system. And if the performance starts to dip, if we see a series of losers, for example, if we want to go in and say, what happens if we go for a larger target or a smaller target or a smaller stop? How does that affect the performance? And in just a couple of minutes, we can run these performance reports, make those changes to the system. That allows us to stay fine-tuned with whatever type of market condition things are the market's throwing at us. Okay, it's really, really powerful tool. It really saves a ton of time. This was a game changer for me. Before it would take me weeks to create a trade plan. Now I can do so in a fraction of the time. So that Trade Assist tool, that is also available as part of the owner site. And we'll give you 30 days free. After that, it's $97 a month. You can cancel that at any time. Not an issue. The system and the indicators are still yours for life, regardless if you're a member of the owner site or not. So if you cancel, you'll just lose access to the ongoing training, the live room, and the ongoing material on the owner site. Here's some of the markets that we trade. You'll take a look at this list. I mean, there's a lot of common names on here, pretty popular. We're trying to trade the most liquid products. So I'm sure you can take a look at this list and say, hey, I'm trading that name. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel here. Okay, these are the most liquid products to look at. Those are the names I want to focus on. So you'll have complete trade plans for all the names here on the screen. Some of the results I showed you here, over $2,700 of profit based on those 6 names that we looked at today. Here's some of the other recent results. thousands of dollars of profit here. We're showing 80% win rates on some of our favorite products. TLT is a bond ETF that we didn't even have a chance to look at today. It's probably one of our best performers, and I didn't even show it to you here today. So it's a really great product. Netflix, same thing. Netflix is one of our best performers as well. We didn't even have time to take a look at it today. But even without those two names, again, thousands of dollars worth of profit. So for the first 5 here today, I know it's the middle of the day. We're getting towards the end of the week. So as our way of saying thank you for logging in today and joining us, we're going to also include 2 one-on-one personal coaching sessions. You can set those up with myself. We can join up and say, hey, let's take a look at some topics that you don't quite feel comfortable asking about in a classroom setting. Okay, anything that's personal, anything about your account size, we can cover in those one-on-one sessions. I'm also going to add on an extra 30 days in the owner site. So I'll give you 60 days free instead of 30. So give you plenty of time to get in there, take advantage of those features, and make sure you're ready to go on your own going forward. And I'll also knock off $200 off the price here today, just for taking an hour out of your day to join us. Our class, again, the 2-day session, two-day class starts next week. That's the official start of the program. We've got 55 seats available. Those seats are just about filled up. We've got a few seats left here today. So once we hit the class limit, we will cut it off, because I want to make sure that we do have a small setting. That way you get to ask the questions in real time. You get that training and support that you need and deserve. So just to recap everything that you're getting here today, don't worry about the price here. We're not going to charge you anywhere close to that. We just need to put some value on everything that we talked about. So the full system, the 2-day training, the one-on-one course, the weekly Q&A, the Q&A sessions, the exclusive Owners Club, $3,600 worth of value. Again, I don't want to charge you anywhere close to that, because I want to make sure you have enough funds to trade with. I don't want you to be limited because you have all your capital tied up in education and systems. So I'm also going to take it a step further, and for the first 3 people that sign up today, I'm going to extend your owner site access to lifetime. That's over $1,100 of savings in the first year. Okay, so you don't have to worry about the $97 a month for the training and the owner site. We'll give you lifetime access. I've got 3 spots available for you here today. So the price, one-time payment of $1,297. We can also split it up into payments, 3 payments of $497. So whatever works out best for you. We're really trying to make it a no-brainer, really trying to make it an easy decision for you. Remember, I mean, just with the trades that we closed out on those 6 names over the past week or 2, we've returned over $2,700 worth of profit. The system will pay for itself very, very quickly, and you're set up for a nice stretch. You're set up for the rest of your trading career here with this system. So the link to sign up, netpicks.com/options. Again, we do have a limited number of seats. Those seats are filling up very quickly, so go ahead and type that link into your browser. You cannot click on it. Just make sure you get on over there and reserve your seat here today. We do have a 45-day money-back guarantee, so at the end of 45 days, if you're not happy with the level of training and support, if you're not happy with the performance, you can return the product. No questions asked. We will issue you a full refund. We also have a TradeStation scholarship available as well. So, if you look at that $12.97 price and say, Mike, I would love to do it, I just can't afford it. Well, TradeStation has offered a scholarship program for us. So if you open and fund a new account with TradeStation, they are willing to issue you a commission rebate over time, a 20% commission rebate that will cover the cost of the program. So through those commission rebates, you will get the cost of Options Mastery, $12.97, returned to you. So really great product there, really makes the decision very, very easy. And additionally, they're offering 180 days free with the platform, or $500 in commission rebates. So really just sweetening the pot there for everybody to get started here. If you have any questions, we do have a whole team of people available here willing to work with you, help you through any issues that might pop up through the sign up or setup process. So don't hesitate to contact us with any issues that might pop up. So again, here's the link, netpicks.com/options. Go ahead and visit that link and get your seat reserved here today. And if you have any questions, if you'd like to contact us directly here before making a decision, here's the phone number, here's the email. My direct email is mike@netpicks.com. Be more than willing to speak with you directly here today to make sure we get your seat reserved. So at this point, Brian, let me go ahead and throw it back over to you, and we can address any questions that might be coming in.
Okay, thanks, Mike. And I did just put the link to sign up in the chat box. If you want to click on that, you can directly. And as Mike mentioned, you can't click on the PowerPoint, but you will be able to click on the link inside the chat box, so look for that. One of the common questions that we had while Mike was talking is what platforms are supported with the approach that Mike's using. Well, what he showed you today, again, to be clear here, is on TradeStation. And so the other option that we have is NinjaTrader. So either of those two platforms can be used to basically make your trade decisions. Now, you can trade with any broker of your choice. And in fact, Mike's configured where he charts with TradeStation and trades with Thinkorswim. That's where he places his trades. And so that's how we're set up and structured here to deliver the indicators to you. So let's go to questions at this point. I want to open it up. If there's anything that was unanswered during the presentation, go ahead and get that into the text box at this point, and we'll wrap up our presentation today with a few questions and answering those. So let's see here. And everyone today, by the way, is in as friend, so I can't read off any names, unfortunately. So if you want to be addressed with your name, go ahead and put that into the question. I do apologize for that, but everybody is in here as friend, and so we really can't distinguish who is who. Let's see, a question being asked, is there any discount for NetPicks family members owning other systems? Yeah, and the only thing I'll say to that is if you are a full Premier Trader University member, there is a discount for that. But outside of that, this program is totally separate, and there's no other additional discounts. And same for, let's see, the next question is any discount for Trend Jumper owners? And so the answer to that is no. Let's see, the next question coming in, I use Oanda and MetaTrader 4 to trade. Can I use your technique in this platform? Well, again, I'm going to go back to what I said earlier. You'll need TradeStation or NinjaTrader to chart the setups. And I'm not aware, Mike, maybe you can address this one, but I'm pretty sure everything you're doing is going to be stock-based, and so you're not going to have access to any of the instruments that Mike is trading inside of Oanda and MetaTrader. That's mostly Forex.
Yeah, correct. Everything that we do is on the stock side, so you will need to have access to either TradeStation or Ninja. I don't do anything with the Forex markets at this point. It's strictly on the equity and ETF side.
Mm-hmm. Okay, another question just came in. Mike, to you, how do you come up with your watch list?
It's a great question, and there's so many great products out there to look at. The first place that I start is I want to take a look at the most liquid products. So I take a look at the options volume, and I say, okay, I want to make sure there's enough liquidity there to where I can get in and out of trades very quickly. And then I also take a look at the most actively traded names. So if you take a look at that list that I showed you earlier, the names that I look at, the Apples, Googles, Netflix, the index ETFs, they're the most commonly traded products. That's by design. I want to make sure I trade the names that move. So are you limited to those names? No. I mean, we can work with you to develop trade plans for names that you're interested in. I'm more than willing to work with you one-on-one with that. But the first place that I look at is always volume and open interest on the options, and that's always my starting point. So some things to keep in mind. We'll talk to you about your account size. You know, if you're trading a smaller account size, obviously we're not going to have you trading all names like Priceline and Apple and Google. We may have you take a look at one of those high flyers and then take a look at some of the lower price ETFs to make sure you're able to diversify correctly so you're not overly exposed to one specific name.
Okay, and for those of you that are going to take advantage of the Free Owners Club, I've got one spot left for that. So you want to definitely, if you're interested in that, that's a pretty good value. Go ahead and get your order in at this point. Once I have all three of you signed up, I will read the names of those individuals that got in. And so, next question, let's see. Okay, this question, you currently trade with Options Express. Do I need to open another account with TradeStation? So you'll need some kind of an account with TradeStation to do your charting. Whether you choose to, you can actually engage TradeStation on a subscription basis where you don't have to open an account and you just simply pay. But I would recommend, a lot of times they have special deals where if you open up an account with a small amount of money, they're going to give you a lot of access to their charting, even if you don't trade there. So, and then obviously if you open up an account and decide to trade with TradeStation, you can take advantage of the scholarship. So that's the other powerful thing, where you can get some money back. So just a couple of avenues for you to go there. And I understand that you're currently with a broker and you can definitely stay there. But you do have some choices. Let's see. Where are we at here? On sign up, multi-month payment selection isn't working. The multi-month payment selection isn't working. Well, Nick, I've had 2 people so far sign up on that. I'm not sure, what your problem might be. What I'm going to recommend is if you would call in, and Nick, Cheryl can help you at 855-788-7881. She'll be glad to help you through that process, whatever you're experiencing. But I can tell you, we've had individuals get through that part of the process, no problem. Let's see. Question asked, I just signed up, do I get the discount? And I don't know who you are. Again, if you would put your name in with your comments, that way I can identify you. I will read the 3 individuals here in just a few minutes that are going to get the free lifetime. Next comment here is Thinkorswim is only available in the U.S. Mike, do you know the question or the answer to that?
I'm not positive on that. You'll want to contact them directly and see. I know that's not true. I know there's people in other countries that will use Thinkorswim. There's certain countries that they are not available in, but I would contact them directly and see what's available. But you should be pretty good to go there.
I think they're available everywhere also, but again, not 100% sure. In fact, someone else here is responding that they are available. You can open up an account anywhere pretty much in the world. Okay, so another comment coming in. I signed up, however, did not get the discount. Well, the discount happens behind the scenes. We have to go in and manually apply that to the first 3. So it's nothing you're going to get an indication of. So yeah, just understand that. I'm going to read the names here in just a minute. So just give me 1 second to get through some of these questions, and then I'll let you know who got the discounts. Okay, again, it's hard to distinguish. I apologize, but if you could put your names in on specific questions like order issues, that kind of thing, then I can address you directly. And let's see, TD Bank owns Sync or... I don't know if that's a play on words there. Obviously, it is a little bit. But somebody commenting, TD Bank owns Thinkorswim in Canada. I have no idea on that. Mike, do you have any comment on that?
I don't on all that stuff, guys. Anything specific to Thinkorswim, just go ahead and give them a call. They're great with customer support. They're going to walk you through everything that's required to open up an account. They're really good with that. So just go ahead and send them an email or give them a call, and they can walk you through all that.
Yeah. Here's another question. Is there any way to save recorded videos at a higher resolution? Thinkorswim videos look very pixelated. Again, I can't comment to what how they process their videos. So that's just that's kind of the way it is. It depends what they're doing too. If they're shrinking it down for YouTube or those kind of mediums, a lot of times that can happen. Unfortunately, you got to make your charts on our side really big, and we do that in a lot of our presentations when we have a hangout and so forth. We kind of maximize our screens so that you can see that kind of thing. But again, nothing we can do on that. Let's see, Ron Hicks. Okay, ordered using the that link. Okay, great. So Ron? What's your question then? Are you the individual having trouble with the payment plan? And I'll let you respond to that. This is in your video for 101. Again, I'm not clear on who that was from. So someone asking about the 101 video. Again, you're going to have to be a little more specific on your question. So again, I apologize. If I can just explain, everybody is coming through as friend, so it's hard for us to distinguish what questions go where. So it's all the same. That's why we're asking for your name in the text. Oh, okay, yeah. Let me go ahead and take a quick peek here and see who came on board as the first three. And Ron, you were actually number one, position number one. So yes, you're going to get the lifetime. Let me refresh this.
Hey Brian, while you're doing that, let me just quickly cover one other question that I see in here. Question come in: what determines monthly or weeklies? I know I covered both there in the recaps today. We have a very specific set of criteria that we look at to help determine which strike price and which expiration cycle that we use. One of the items that we track for every name that we trade is our average holding time, so that we know, if we're taking a look at Apple, for example, we know based on the last number of trades what our average holding time is, and that really helps us out in selecting the proper expiration cycle, the proper strike price. So we use all of that data to help put the odds in our favor. There's times we'll use weekly options. Right now you can get away with it because the market's moving so quickly. When you get into the summertime months, oftentimes we will trade the monthly options because things just develop slower. It just takes more time. So we walk through all of that in detail in the training.
Okay, I'm going to read the names off of the individuals that are going to get the free lifetime. So let me get over to that screen one second. So Mr. Hicks, as you were asking, yeah, you're in position number one. And position number two goes to Gockel. And I see, Mr. Gockel, that you did purchase the lifetime, so we will credit that back to you. So no worries there. I'll instruct Cheryl to do that. And then position number three, and the final position we're going to give away the free lifetime, is Lynn's. And so those are the three individuals. Congratulations to you guys for joining today. And we're about ready to call it a wrap here. Any final questions, go ahead and get those in at this point. And do want to thank Mike for being on the call today and taking time out of his busy schedule. I know he was really busy yesterday with a lot of the new members that have come on. And looking forward to doing the class here coming up very, very soon. Mike, any final comments while we wait here for just the last few questions?
Well, again, thank you to everybody for taking time out of your day to join us. To those of you that signed up, really looking forward to next week. It's going to be a fun, full 2 days as we get you prepared for trading on your own. And for those of you that still have questions, feel free to contact us through the information on the screen or send me an email directly, mike@netpicks.com. I'd be more than willing to answer any questions that you might have before you get signed up. So thanks again to everybody that joined us.
Okay, thanks again, Mike. I do want to reiterate what Mike said. If anybody wants to speak with one of us, we would be more than happy to do that. Just give us a call at the number that we put up there, 855-788-7881, and we will definitely make ourselves available to answer any additional questions that you might have. So thanks again, everyone, for being with us today, and have a great rest of the afternoon.